Happy 4th of July, folks. I'm not going to go into a long spiel tonight. I am going to say Independence Day, great day. Great day for our country, great day for the world. The date that the United States was born was the greatest thing that's ever happened to the world. We have had, well, sorry, let me take that back. Christ coming was the greatest thing that ever happened to the world. The United States being born, second greatest. We have achieved so much more as a free country where you had the right to express your own beliefs, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, the great things that our founders gave us that set us apart from every other country in the world. The Second Amendment is so important. A lot of people don't realize how important it is. I state this all the time, and I've said it to many, many people whenever they brought up the Second Amendment, and they say, well, you don't need an AR-15 to go hunt. No, I really don't. Some people use it to hunt, though. It can be very, very beneficial for hunting, but I don't, because I don't believe in killing animals unless I absolutely had to, and then I'd kill the animal. But I don't believe in killing an animal for sport, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't believe in harming anything, whether it be an insect, an animal, or any living organism. I don't believe that we should just out and out kill it. Even different kinds of spiders and things like that, I will not kill. The things that I will kill are like, if a mosquito bites me, it's dead, it's trying to murder me. But back to my, I'm all off in left field, right field, wherever here. But what I want to say is, we have established a great community. And yes, I don't need that weapon for hunting. But I need that weapon to protect myself in the event of tyranny by our government. And yeah, I still haven't quit smoking. Tyranny of our government. What are we talking about? Unfortunately, we are actually talking about what's going on right now across our country. Governors coming down on freedom of religion and trying to destroy religion. Basically just coming out and saying that their voice is law. That's not the way our country or our Constitution works. We have allowed it in the interest of public health, which is a crock of shit at this point. The more we learn, the more we realize that it's about manipulation and control. And the reason I say that is because when a protest is inconvenient for them, they will shut it down because of coronavirus. Take the protesters who were actually protesting against the fact that we were on lockdown and businesses were going bankrupt and people were losing jobs and everything. Those protests got shut down like that. It didn't fit the political agenda or the political narrative. They want to keep us under control, especially between now and November 3rd. In November, well, first off, they don't want to have debates. They don't want Trump and Biden to debate. Why? Well, the reason they don't want Trump and Biden to debate is because Biden's cognitive ability is going. He is absolutely losing his mind. And when I say that, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm really not. The man is losing his ability to think for himself. That should scare the hell out of every working class American out there. The fact that this man is losing the ability to think for himself. And the Democratic Socialist Party is propping him up and hiding him out. Barely letting him speak. And when he does speak, they never know what's going to come out of his mouth. But they are propping him up to take the presidency, regardless of the fact that he cannot run the nation, regardless of the fact that he is corrupt as hell, regardless of the fact that he took his crackhead son over to 2 different nations and got him in bed with people that can make him billions of dollars. regardless of all these facts, regardless of the fact that him and Robert Byrd were very close. Robert Byrd was a Ku Klux Klan leader, Grand Dragon or some shit, very high up in the Klan, I guess. Regardless of that, Biden has done and said so many things that were actually racially motivated things that he has done over his lifetime, and people have looked over it. Why? Because he's got a D beside his name. It's absolutely insane, the hypocrisy and the level that we are going through in this country right now of self-hatred. You know, everything in this country has not always been perfect. Nobody says that. Nobody thinks that. And the people who are predominantly, you know, racist or something, it's the lowest human being on the planet. And yes, over the years, I've met several racists. I've met white racists. I've met black racists. And I know what you're saying. You're going to tell me that black people can't be racist. That's not true. Matter of fact, earlier, listen to Quake's House. It's one of the channels I like to listen to, Kevin Hart Laugh Out Loud Radio. Listen to Quake's House. I actually heard a woman, I don't know who she was, basically say that all white people are racist because they have preconceived notions about black people. So her having a preconceived notion about all white people was not racist. And her preconceived notion was that white people all have preconceived notions about black people. That is not true. I've known like so many people in my lifetime that didn't have a hateful bone in their body. And then I've known them of every race, white, black, Latino, everything. Not a hateful bone in their body would give you the shirt off their back. And I've known people of all races to be shitbags and assholes. It's not a race thing. People of this country have got to get past skin color. We have got to realize skin color is a weapon that our pathetic government uses to keep us in line. How can you be so blind you can't see that? Our government's made up of two parties right now, primarily. You've got Democrats and Republicans. We need a third party. And I'm not talking about a socialist workers union. What I'm talking about an American working class, to where we put people in Congress that are American working class individuals. And we don't do it by skin color or sexual orientation or none of that bullshit. What we do it by is who will represent us the best. We take the people with the best qualifications and put them in those positions. We get away from these Ivy League educated assholes that are in reality the biggest racists on the planet, and I will explain that. Progressives. You know why I say they're the biggest racists on the planet? Basically, their ideology is this. If you are a black American, you cannot be successful without them helping you up, which is a crock of shit. Okay? That's their mindset, though. And the way you can tell that's their mindset is because they tell you all day long. This is what they do. This is what they say. They say that black men can't be held to this standard as other people in the country. Why would you do that, or why would you think that? Do you think that they can't control themselves? Do you think they're not smart enough? That's the way these progressives think. They'll tell you basically that the oppressive country is holding you down and they have to come rescue you. That's what they're telling you. It's insanity to think anything other than they are the racist, because they are looking at you like that. If someone came to me and basically told me they had to help me up because I couldn't do it myself, I would be very insulted. The fact that I'm 41 years old, I'm perfectly healthy, I'm capable of working and providing my own living. So if someone comes to me and tells me that I can't do it on my own, they're going to have to help me up, I'm going to be insulted. If someone tells me that they're not going to hold me to the same standards as the rest of the country, I'm going to be insulted. Are you saying that I'm not smart enough to keep up? Are you saying that I don't have enough self-control and enough good morals that I can use my own judgment and I can be helpful and beneficial to society? Is that what you're saying? We have got to get away from this thing of letting people manipulate us and letting people use our emotions, not data, not logic, emotions to control us. If you let your emotions control you, it will in the end destroy you. And the fact that so many people across this country right now are letting their emotions control them, it will end up destroying the nation, the country. If someone like Joe Biden and the Democratic Socialist Party get into office, look at their policies. The Green New Deal, that's a $93 trillion price tag there. Universal health care, let's say at a minimum, a $28 trillion price tag. These things are unrealistic. The only way they could possibly be paid for is if they take it from the American working class, the middle class. That's the only way it could happen. They can't pay for it any other way. They are going to tax us to death, to the point that we cannot survive and we cannot have a country. Well, we can have a country, excuse me, but it will be a Venezuela-like country where all the serfs, and when I say serfs, if you know anything about, England and the medieval periods and how they did things, well, you understand what I'm talking about, because that's what we will be, indentured servants. They will use us to work, and they will take 70% of our paychecks and basically destroy any chance of middle class America in this country. We can't allow that. Just like the Second Amendment. When they start going after the Second Amendment, you want to know why they go after it? They go after it because if they can take our guns and take our way of fighting back, they don't have to go through all this red tape. They don't have to go through all these congressional hearings or congressional votings and things like that to pass a law. They can just pass it, kind of like what they're doing right now. And it makes no sense that people can't see that. ARs, are they beneficial? Yes, they are very beneficial to fight back if our government becomes tyrannical. Semi-automatic pistols, are they beneficial? Yes, they are, for many, many reasons. I can use a semi-automatic pistol to defend my home. I can use a semi-automatic pistol to defend me when I'm not in my home. I can use a semi-automatic pistol to fight back against the government if need be. They want to take the semi-automatic weapons so that we're helpless. Helpless. I don't want to be helpless. We have the greatest country in the world. We have a chance to take what this country has built, which is the strongest country in the world. It's the richest country in the world. It's the place that can make everybody's dreams come true, no matter where you come from. You can come here, and because of the free market economy, if you work hard and you come up with a plan and you push yourself, you can be successful. We don't want to tear that down and destroy that. We want to build it up. We want to spread it to other places in the world. We want other places in the world to have the economy and the freedoms that we enjoy here in this country. The fact that we're moving away from rule of law and we're moving away from the Constitution, and the fact that we're allowing our political leaders to get us hung up on things like skin color and sexual orientation. Those things keep us blind to what is going on in Washington. It's like a magic trick. Look at this shiny object over here. Look at this. Look at this. While the whole time they're picking your pocket with the other hand. The whole time they are passing laws that absolutely destroy the country. But nobody sees that. Nobody cares about that because this shiny object over here has got their attention. That is what the race baiting, that is what it's all about. That's what all these plans by the Democrats are. When you look at their platforms, they don't have anything actually that's going to be beneficial to American working class people. Not one thing. There is nothing on their platform that's going to be beneficial to us. Nothing. We pay all the bills in this country. You have nothing that's beneficial for us. Why in the hell are people still voting for these assholes? It makes no sense. No sense. I have not always, obviously, been as patriotic as I am these days. You know, whenever I was younger, I was a lot more progressive. I was a lot more liberal. As I got older, as I learned individual responsibility and I actually owned it, my views started to change a little bit. The older I got, the more I realized that the only reason I was progressive and liberal is because it was the accepted position to be. That was what I was always taught going through school. That was right. And that's, you know, even back then, schools were indoctrinated to teach us that we had to be progressive and liberal. There was nothing teaching us about conservatism. Still is nothing teaching people about conservatism. And the reason they don't teach it, if you've got a 40-year lock control on government, well, actually it'd be 60 years now. But if you've been controlling government for 60 years, and during that 60 years, you've been able to indoctrinate every institution. You've been able to take over the schools. You've been able to take over the different branches of the government, from the FBI to the IRS, and politicalize them as weapons as well. You've been able to get people to walk away from their morality because you've been attacking religion for 60 years. So more and more people have lost that. More and more people have lost their faith. You've been able to take away all these things. You have had a lock on the government. And then some person that is not a politician comes walking in there and in 4 years does what you couldn't do in 60 years. That will make him the biggest threat to the career politician there is. And that's what Donald Trump is. He's an outsider. He is someone who has done very well for himself in life. And when he makes policies for the country, he does it as a businessman, as what's best for the country. This man has no alternative motive. His only motive is to improve the life of United States citizens. That's all it is. He targets and goes after the American working class for a reason. The American working class pays the bills. You can't expect for half the country, or 3/4 of the country, to go to work every day, bust their ass, pay all the bills, and get walked over because they have to sit there and keep their mouth shut because they might offend someone. You can't do that. Eventually that will lead you to destruction. People have got to wake up. and we've got to do it quickly. We don't have much time at all. If we lose this election, I fear, and I think I have justified fears, that within a year, all these socialist programs will pass, if not a year and a half. They will get them through, which will greatly affect anybody's ability to provide for their families. Immediately, the first day that these socialists take power, they will start wanting to disarm Americans. They'll first try to do a buyback program. After that doesn't work, because there's going to be a lot of Americans who refuse to sell them back their weapons, then they're going to try to use big government to confiscate these weapons. I don't know how it is in a lot of other places, but I know how it is where I live. If you try to confiscate weapons where I live, you're going to start a war. People will not give up their weapons. They will not give up their God-given rights. It's not going to happen. They will go to war first. And I don't want to see the country go down that path. I really don't. Am I prepared for it if it does? Yeah, I am. I'm very prepared for it. I have spent years preparing for that possibility because I've seen it coming for years. And if it takes it, and that's the path that the country goes, then I hope I'm still young enough and healthy enough to fight and make a difference. But I'm trying to fight every day, right now, with this. I'm trying to talk to people. I'm trying to use this and this, my voice, to try to get people to understand and to look at shit for themselves. I don't want them to take my word for it. All I want you to do is investigate it for yourself. Start looking at the policies for yourself. Don't listen to me. Go look up the Green New Deal. See what the actual policies are going to do. Go look at the universal health care. See what it will actually do to the American working class. Look at the policies on immigration. Look at everything, and you go through the policies and see how any one policy that this Democratic Socialist Party has will help the working class people of America. You can't. There's not one policy in there that will help us. Not one. Everything they do stands against us. It stands against the rule of law, and it stands against the Constitution. They demonize the police. I mean, it's as simple as Hitler. You know how he started? He started by doing the same exact things, demonizing the authority of that time period. And he got a lot of followers to follow him. And he just kept moving his way up in political status and pointing at somebody else as the enemy till everybody bought into it. And these people damn near conquered the world based on nothing but hate. Had it not been for the great country that we live in, they would have conquered the world. Wake up, people. You've got to realize the United States is a very, very special place. It's a place where everybody can be successful. It is a great, great country. We got to quit abusing it. We got to quit following the shiny object. Start doing your research and looking at it for yourself. Please. Whenever I think about American Independence Day, this is one of the things that comes to mind. The Second Amendment, the fact that we are allowed to bear arms in this country. A right that I don't think we'll have much longer. Right now, the government is in an all-out frenzy to try to ban any semi-automatic weapons, but in particularly our rifles. Why do they want to ban the rifles? Well, the rifles actually give us a fighting chance in the event that they become tyrannical. Now, if you look around and you actually think about what's going on right now, the government is closer to tyranny than it has been since we got our independence. We have an elite class that has taken over pretty much all of society from the top down, and they are using everything from the IRS to the FBI as political weapons to force Americans to not only think like them and believe like them, but to actually penalize Americans for not thinking or believing like they do. This is a dangerous, dangerous thing. We really need to look at it, and we definitely, above all, do not need to give up our Second Amendment. I hate to say it, and I hate to think like it, but at the point that Biden was to get in office and they were to get the Senate, they would at that time probably try to buy back our weapons. At the event that we were not willing to sell back our weapons, then they would send someone to confiscate the weapons. I believe this would definitely start a war. According to the Bill of Rights, I have the right to own this weapon. I've never committed a crime or done anything to take that right away. I don't plan on doing anything to take that right away. So if someone comes to take my weapon, at that point the government has become tyrannical, which is exactly why I own the weapon. Well, I own a bunch of weapons, but this one in particular is just an example, a good example. Americans, we can't give up our right and our only means of defending ourselves from tyranny. If we do, at that point, we've given up our freedom.